This looks good. I'm using my iPhone now because the lighting was mad weird when I was like recording in the Loom with my webcam. I'm in Starbucks right now. I usually come here because it's just a nice place to work. So I made up my mind. I'm going to stick with Swift and SwiftUI for this app. So in San Francisco, people were asking me, is this going to come out on Android? And I thought about it. I was like, okay, it probably makes sense to go cross-platform. So I was gonna, I was debating between React or Flutter, React Native or Flutter, and I decided to go with React. And I played around with React. I never shipped the app out with React, but I was like, okay, I'll pick it back up and stick with my JavaScript and stuff. But I realized like I've already built like the MVP. I put in mad work, building this thing natively for iOS. And the whole reason why the thought of building for cross-platforms, because these groups, if you want to play outings with friends, those friends might have an Android. So I was like, all right, I should make cross-platform. And anytime my app ideas are like that, where you want to get a group of friends, you need to be on both Android and iOS. So you're playing like outings and events. Now, here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to stick to what I know. I already built this stuff, right? Like I'm over here like trying to get the authentication set up and the sign up, and the backend is done. I can like look at what I did and what I wrote in Swift and translate it here. But I don't want to build a UI and stuff ever again. Another thing is, the idea was to make it look ugly and just build it and just make sure it works. But again, a lot of that stuff is already done. So I'm like, all right, all I got to do is just change the way I do things. Like I'm just going to use Google Places API or SDK and just do that instead, because people manually have to type in the restaurants here and add an image and all that. But a lot of it's done. So I'm like, look, the reason why I wanted to do Swift and SwiftUI in the first place, because I want to be finally good at something. Like when you're a software engineer, you don't want to be like a specific in a specific domain, only good at one thing. Like you don't want to be a Flutter developer or a React Native or a React developer. You want to be a developer, especially if you're doing full stack, right? The idea is you're an engineer. You can be placed anywhere, and you can pick it up and learn it, right? But I want to be good at something, and I want to be good at building Swift iOS apps. I want to be able to be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing here confidently, like I am with React. Like I'm cool with React. So I'm over here. I'm learning React Native again, and going through all this stuff. But I'm like, man, I got it all done here. Let me just do what I need to do and get this thing out. Especially if I'm trying to reach my goal of making $1,000 for the final 4 or 5 months we got left out of this year. I need to just hurry up and do that. So here's what I'm gonna do. I want to stick with the Mofus that I've already built, the SwiftUI app. I'm going to build a web app. So for the Android folks, if you want to get on that, you can still, accept invites with friends and stuff, right? The next thing is like, okay, that's probably the best way to go about it anyway, because what if the app doesn't, do great anyway? Well, it's a good thing I didn't spend time, rebuilding it, making sure it's on both platforms and stuff. So let's say it does get enough money, then that will be a good problem to have, like figuring out how to get on Android. And instead of me learning Android development, I can just come back to React Native and build it there. I don't want to touch Flutter. I like Flutter. I like it. I don't love it. I'm not a fan of nested widgets and how it looks and the whole thing. Dart is cool though. But this is the approach I'm gonna go with. Stick with the native iOS, build a web app for it, and then or maybe even skip that. If it gains traction and it gets money, I might do what I did with Verse. Like before I built Verse and before I knew how to code, I hired a team in India to build that app for me. So I might just hire another developer or someone to build it for me, and probably have them do it in React Native. Because if they do it in, I don't know, Android development, I played around with it years ago, but it was like very elementary. So, because if I hired someone to build it in, in Java, Kotlin, whatever, then I won't be able to maintain it or know what's going on. I would have to learn Android development. But if they're doing it in React Native, well, it's like, all right, I'm familiar. I know React. I played around with React Native pretty extensively. even though I'm just really rusty right now, I can know what's going on and update it and stuff like that. But you know, they do it when Android is like Android Studio and whatnot. It's a little difficult. If they do it in Flutter, it wouldn't be that bad. And who knows? Maybe it's so good that I'm just sticking with React Native for both platforms. But man, it's just something about using native tools that this just feels good. Like people in San Francisco were like, looked at this and they're like, oh wow, this actually looks legit. Like this looks real. This looks polished and like a real product. And I was like, thanks y'all, appreciate that. But yeah, that's what this video is about. It's an update to let y'all know that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stick with what I got, so I don't have to redo, you know, the authentication with Firebase. I'm tired of doing that. I'm actually about to build a bunch of templates, so I don't have to do stuff like that again. And yeah, just focus on what I need to do. And if I'm gonna reach that deadline, I need to put it out. The last thing I want to share, it's not this, but you know, people kind of loud when they come in here. The last thing I want to share is two things I want to share. This is what I got on my screen right now, but also I'm going to be using RevenueCat. So instead of learning StoreKit, I'm going to use RevenueCat, and I got to think long term, because if I do end up going on the web or on Android, then it makes sense to just use like a cross-platform, not necessarily a cross-platform, but a tool that I can just, you know, collect payments in one spot. You know, I'm not sure how Stripe might work, but I decided, you know, people keep talking about RevenueCat. I'm like, let me go check that out, and it looks pretty good, and a lot more resources to learn, like to pick that up than StoreKit. And then lastly, I posted a Medium article on Mo Studios. You know, why I'm doing it, what it is. Writing, my writing used to be really good. It's still a little rusty, but I think it's kind of cool because in Medium, people will subscribe to the newsletter, can get updates on what I'm doing. So, you know, you can check me out on Medium, and you can subscribe to that, and I'll be writing a little bit up there. Also on Dev, what's it called? Dev.to. I write a little bit on there. I'm trying to do some more writing, but you know, things like this I think are great for, you know, putting yourself out there and building in public. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all today, man. I'm gonna stick with what I know. I did a lot of work on this iOS app. I enjoy Swift. I want to be good at something, and I think I can be, you know, trying to improve that skill right there, being an iOS developer. And I don't want all this to go to waste, so, you know, I think that's all I got for you. It's so weird when I record and I'm picturing, like, in my head, like, what I'm going to say, how it's going to go. I'm like, all right, this is going to go smooth, but then the camera's on, I'm like, what the hell was I going to say? How was I going to say it? But that's what I got for y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Got 4 months. I gotta put this out before the end of September. Like I'll explain more in the future, but like I'm just gonna stick to this one tab and this tab, and then come back to these and build the best version of this using Google Places, see your favorite, do bookmarks, then gradually release the other stuff. But I need this thing out on the App Store. I don't want to. If I keep working on this for too long, it will be a year before I ship this. And well, yeah, put it out on public, put out on the public on the App Store. So it needs to come out now. I don't like long videos, so I'm not 9 minutes. So I'll end it right here and update y'all as I go. And if you don't hear from me for a bit, it's probably because I'm locked in.